ways that you deal with your own anxiety. So, I was always a very quiet kid that kept out of the way of conversation, and basically anything that required me to speak to someone. I wasn't shy, but I just preferred to not talk. I always enjoyed listening more if someone was saying something, and but I did find it difficult to participate in a conversation, whether it was in a group or just one-on-one. I think anxiety comes from pressure to appear normal and perform. Sometimes it's things that we just physically don't or can't do, and when there's pressure to do that thing, whatever it is, then that's when we get anxious and all these fears build up, and it can cause problems. So, and then if we're put out of our comfort zone, when we are forced to do something that we don't want to do, that's when it leads us to either freak out, have a panic attack, or just shut down. And people can form an opinion of you that is not possibly accurate of you. So some things that make me anxious that you may identify yourself with. Talking, like I said before, talking to other people, basically. Talking on the phone is a big one. Job interviews, that's a scary one. So, the way that I deal with any of these situations that arise for me, normally I would have tried my hardest to find a way out of that situation. So I would either go away, like I would go home or something, or I would not go to that particular event or whatever it was. I would, this, going back several years, I would hide somewhere by myself. I know it sounds extremely sad, but I'm sure many of you have done this. But when I was about 12, maybe, if I couldn't find my friends during lunchtime, I would go to the bathroom and wait there till the end of lunchtime, because I didn't want to be seen alone by myself, not doing anything or not having any friends that I was hanging out with. That was a really low point in my life, but I got over that pretty quick. It was just, I don't know, I just grew out of that fear of being alone. And I think back and wonder why I was so silly to do that. it's always been talking on the phone. I always avoided that as much as possible. I would never answer the phone if it rang. I would hate ringing someone for any reason. I just hated dialing a number, waiting for someone to answer, and then having to talk to them. But I got around that by having a job that requires me to ring people on a regular basis. So again, I got over that really quick, and now it's just second nature to ring someone because it's no big deal. I don't know why I ever worried. Another part of that, I won't go into too much detail, but another part of my job is to ring people that are grieving over the loss of someone. And the first time I had to do this, I nearly I just couldn't handle it. I tried to find someone to do it for me. But again, I just had to face that fear and do it. There was no but about it. And now, again, I do it like a second nature. And I don't know what I was ever worried about. I guess repetition is key to overcoming anxiety. Once you've done something that makes you anxious, if you do it again and again and again, it goes away. I mean, it's just how it is. That's what happens. The amount of things that I was worried about at one time just aren't a problem anymore. I still don't like when my phone rings or I have to ring someone that I don't know. It's still annoying, but it doesn't cause me to panic or freak out anymore. Another big one that I haven't quite overcome is social situations, particularly if it's with just one other person that I don't know very well, where it can feel extremely awkward and there's silence and pauses. I laugh about it just when I think of a situation, but when it actually comes to being in that situation, it can be horrible. And I start to sweat and stumble over my words. And I just feel like such an idiot. And I hate to think what the other person is thinking of me. Ways of overcoming something like that, or getting around it, is I force myself to be confident, to appear more confident than what I might actually be feeling. So I do that by smiling. When I meet the person, I shake their hand firmly. I try to engage them more by looking directly at them, eye contact. And even if I don't have a lot to say, it usually just eases the other person to make them feel more comfortable, and in the hopes that they are able if you experience a similar anxiety to that, or you know how to deal with that sort of thing, then let me know on that one, because I would love some more advice on interaction with other people. Sometimes I just physically don't know what to say, or what subject to bring up. Like, if someone asked me what I did for my job, or sorry, that was loud, or where I'm from, or whatever, I would just give one sentence answers and then stare at the ground and wait for them to ask something else. It's horrible. It's really something I would love to conquer. A lot of my anxiety came when I was at university. Well, more than what I normally had, particularly in the first year. I found myself being quite alone during that first year, because unfortunately I wasn't placed in a hall of residence. I missed out because there were too many people. So that year I was living by myself, and I was never great at mingling with people and making friends. So that year was tough, and actually no, it wasn't too bad. I've always enjoyed being on a stage performing, and that's something that I feel completely comfortable doing. But if I have to get up in front of a large group of people and be myself, then that is always a very tough time. If I haven't planned what I have to say, then I will just bomb out and I will make a fool of myself. So one time during university, I had to do a presentation in front of a class full of people. It was a group presentation with my friend, and my friend is notorious for not planning. He was able to just make stuff up on the spot and do extremely well, whereas I had to plan everything to a T and basically just read what I wrote and not ever go off topic or off what I'd written. So anyway, I felt completely unprepared going into this presentation, and I nearly died. I just about ran away and wanted to flee the country. I felt physically sick, and I felt pale and shaky, and I said to my friend that I can't do this. I kept saying it, I can't do this, I can't do this. And that was probably one of the worst, I guess, panic attacks that I'd ever had. But you know what? I did it, and I got through it fine. And just like every other situation, I said to myself, what the hell was wrong with you? Why did you even worry about that? Because you did fine. Again, it was just the fear of embarrassing myself in front of a class full of people that I didn't know. because most of the time it's never a problem. You just think it's going to be horrible, but the truth is it's not. And when you watch other people do the same thing, you think, okay, they don't have a problem, even if they were feeling the same things that I was. It didn't appear that they were struggling. The biggest thing that I do is just tell myself that it's fine. It's going to be okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. And other things I do to help is just breathe, to stop and breathe. Take a moment just to calm yourself down. I also had this stuff called Rescue Remedy. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but I think it's basically fermented grapes or something, so it's sort of alcohol in a way, and you put it under your tongue and it just relieves you a little bit. I don't know if it did anything, maybe just a placebo effect, but sometimes that helped. So if you're after that sort of thing, then try that out. Another anxiety that I will tell you about, another one of my big panic attacks, I guess. I was sitting in a lecture one day, and I was sitting in pretty much the very middle of the row, in the middle of the room, in the middle of the class, and out of nowhere, I just had this need to get out, to leave, and I felt all claustrophobic and like I had to throw up or pee my pants or whatever, but I just had to get out, and I was pretty much dying in the middle of this row, just wondering how I was going to get out of this, because I didn't want to make a scene and have everyone have to stand up for me so I could get out of the seat. But I don't know, I just had to get out, so I just said to all the people next to me, excuse me, and I just felt like the whole class was looking at me, and I felt horrible, and so I ran away and went to the bathroom and nearly felt sick. And I don't know what this was, it just came out of the blue. And from that day on, I couldn't sit amongst people if I felt closed in. So I always sat on the end of the row, at the back of the class, next to the door, so I could get out if I had to. And that debilitated me for 2 or 3 years. But again, I got over that. I said to myself, what the hell's your problem? And even going to the cinema to watch a movie, I had to sit on the end row in case I had to get out. But like I said, I got over it, and now I find myself sitting anywhere amongst people. That's not always the case. If I'm nervous about something, then I'll probably sit on the end. But I mean, this happens to a lot of people. Sometimes people have to leave, and it's not a big deal if you're seeing them leave. So I think, okay, I'm just one of those people that has to leave now and then. Another one that I haven't quite overcome is eating with and in front of people. I find it difficult to have a meal and socialise and talk at the same time. So unfortunately, I will try and avoid those situations. So if I'm asked to go to dinner with particularly people I don't know too well because they want to get to know me, I will somehow make an excuse of why I can't go, which is really annoying still because it does still affect me a bit. But whenever I do get there, whenever I do decide to go to something like that, it's usually okay. I mean, I'm still a bit nervous and I don't talk too much, but I get through it fine without embarrassing myself too much. Oh, and one last thing. I keep remembering all these things that I wanted to say. Now, I'm not going to preach or anything here, but you can turn off if you want to. It's near the end of the video, so you won't miss too much. But one other thing that I do to help me get through is to pray. And it's something that I found is extremely helpful. During university again, during my anxiety years, my anxious years, I had to do a test in class, and I think it was a 2-hour test, and you weren't allowed to leave the room until you had finished, or until the 2 hours was up. And so I was extremely nervous to have to sit amongst people for 2 hours. I didn't know if I was going to be closed in or not. But anyway, so I sat down to do the test, and I was freaking out that I would have to run out halfway through and thus fail the test. So anyway, the lecturer said to begin, and I was still freaking out, and so I just said to myself, calm down, stop for a moment, breathe, and then I prayed. I just took a minute or 2 minutes to do this, and I just felt so relaxed after that and at ease, and I started smiling and, breathing normally, and I did it. I got through the test. I sat there for the whole 2 hours without a problem, and it was fine. It was fine. I didn't know what I was worrying about, but all those things helped. So anyway, I hope there's something there that might be able to help you with your own anxiety and nervousness. So if you do have a problem, like anything similar to what I've described, I would encourage you to push yourself a little bit, to try something 2 or 3 or 4 times, so you can start to get used to something you're not used to doing. And I pretty much guarantee you that you'll be fine. You'll learn and grow and get used to dealing with your emotions and feelings where you can get through it pretty easily. And hopefully you'll look back and think, okay, yeah, I didn't have a problem getting through that, and I don't know what I was worried about. And if you have any advice for me and for others, then please leave your ideas in the comments. That would be awesome.